Hey, what's up, everybody? I was the other day I was thinking about like what kind of men's opens, just small men's opens tournaments I could possibly play in the future. Definitely play righty and maybe lefty in the near future. I need to actually start training lefty a little bit more to be able to start playing a really low level tournament. But I was thinking all the checklist in my head of everything that I needed to kind of make sure that was up to speed before I would play another tournament again, either lefty or righty. And I was thinking in my head like everything that I need to make sure that I'm ready for: conditioning, strength, speed, forehand, serve. And I remembered a little thing that I remembered back when I was kind of in college. I always had this saying in my head that there was three things that you could never have an excuse for on the court, like showing up for a match, like a tournament or practice. I mean, no, not so much, but specifically for tournaments, and that's you have no excuse to show up to a tournament and your serve not being sharp. You have no excuse for showing up to a tournament and your footwork not be on point, and you don't have an excuse for poor conditioning. Those three things you can do alone by yourself. You don't need a hitting partner. I can understand like showing up to a match and your forehand feeling iffy because you didn't quite have, or just ground strokes in general, because you didn't have somebody to hit with, or even returns can be a tricky one too, because you need somebody with can not only hit a serve but can hit a good serve so you can get some good returns in. But service, it's really hard to excuse yourself from losing a match because your serves were rusty, because you can do that alone. Even if you have you're a tennis player, you have some kind of 2, 3, 4, 5 balls in your bag that you can take to the court and just hit into the corner, go grab, and keep hitting serves until you feel you feel good. The same thing goes with, and then okay, maybe it was a rainy week and you couldn't get serves in. Okay, maybe that I could let that slide, but definitely the next one, the footwork, is something that you can never have an excuse for, because I mean you can do footwork in your living room if you wanted to, or if you're traveling in a hotel, just find the biggest area of the room, or move the bed over a little bit and just kind of like put some obstacles there, and you just really work on the timing of your footwork. So you can do footwork pretty much anywhere. Even in a really tight space, you can do quite a bit of footwork. And it doesn't have to be like super intense. It doesn't have to be as fast as possible. It could be, you're in the hotel room the night before your match, and you're just kind of working on little steps, maybe little steps to your forehand, little steps to your backhand, going from left to right, or just trying to hit marks and staying in a rhythm. You might be on the second or third floor and somebody's underneath you. Okay, yeah, you can't be intense about it, but you can at least work on making sure that you're hitting your marks, hitting working on the rhythm. And then the third thing is your conditioning. How much energy you have. There is never an excuse. Some players have a tough time gassing out in the first set or something. I've never really had a problem with that, but my theory on that is that I've never really been a fast guy. I've never been one of the guys that's the quickest off the line. But I'll never cramp, but I'll never really run out of energy. And I've always associated that with being kind of like a slow twitch fiber muscle most of the fast guys that I've always known are just extremely fast twitch muscle guys, but they usually seem to taper off towards like the end of second set, beginning of third set. Those guys usually fade away a little bit more, where guys like me, I'm pretty useless in the first set. Second set I start heating up, third set I'm on. Kind of like that slow moving train that finally catches up to speed. But at the end of the day, like, to get back to my original point, there's never really any excuse to not be at your personal best, conditioning wise, because you hopefully you got a road outside your house, or even just like a field you can find and do sprints in. I personally prefer sprints over any kind of long distance running. I think there's a lot more carryover putting your time into sprints than putting your time into any kind of long distance conditioning running, road work kind of stuff. Not to say that it's bad. Hey, you still got to get your road work in. You still got to get your miles in. But I personally wouldn't spend a hell of a lot of time on long distance running. I would work on just sprints, as many sprints as you can do. Short sprints, actually, around, keep, if you can find a tennis court, just the size of the tennis court may be a little bit longer. That's the kind of sprints you want to be looking for. Obviously, you want to throw 400 meter sprints in there, 300, 200, 100, but really the bread and butter is sticking with your sport and the typical distance you're going to have to run during a point. So I don't even know what the average amount of shots in a point are, but maybe find the average amount of shots there are in a point and do that many sprints back and forth before you take a break. What I'm trying to get at is that there's no real excuse for your conditioning to be bad. Even if you're traveling, you're probably at a hotel. They got some kind of treadmill, maybe as a gym at their hotel. If it's raining, you hit the treadmill. If there's no treadmill, find some kind of overhang that you can do quick little sprints in, even if it's only like 10 feet. Just you can throw footwork in there too. But just really doing anything is better than a blank. Like if you don't want to be unsafe about it, if it's raining and there's legitimately no place for you to do any kind of conditioning work, don't go doing it in the grass when it's wet. Even concrete can get slippery sometimes when there's like paint on the road or something. So if there's not a big, maybe there's not a tournament coming up or anything, okay, skip the sprints for that day, skip the conditioning for that day. Don't be unsafe with your ankle. I've dislocated my ankle once on court. Don't recommend it. At least I did it on court playing a match, doing the sport that I'm intending to get better at. This was in college. It would have been a real problem if I dislocated my ankle doing something that wasn't tennis. That was actually one of my college coaches' kind of thing tell us, was that like, hey, if you guys are going to get injured, at least get injured doing it, playing your sport. Don't get injured, you're here to play tennis. Don't go getting injured playing pickup soccer games or pickup basketball game. Like, don't ruin, this opportunity you have by playing another sport that you're not supposed to be, that we're not paying you for, quote unquote. But you know, those are the three things that I think that you don't have any excuse to be deficient in when arriving to a match. And I guess you could throw a fourth in there, and that would be, you know, strength. I really think that tennis players don't lift enough. I really think there's a lot of untapped potential for tennis players to learn how to properly lift and properly work a certain subset of muscles. I think there's a lot left on the table for tennis players to be able to be a lot better at a lot faster serves, a lot faster forehands, backhands, ground strokes in general. You know, I'm kind of a bigger guy on court. My muscles, I would say, are slightly bigger than most other tennis players, and throughout the years, I haven't seen any kind of difference in my swing. I haven't seen it hinder my swing at all, which I think tennis players are not lifting enough. That's my opinion, but this video is running out anyways, so alright guys, peace, later, until next time.